Goodbye skinny fat. Here is your complete step-by-step guide to transforming your body, lowering your body fat percentage, and increasing your muscle mass. Woo! If you're new here, hey, I'm Healthy Emmie. I'm a weight loss specialist, a nutritionist, and the creator of Slim, the all-inclusive platform where you get custom meal plans, workout plans, daily meditations, journal topics, access to me, weekly Q&As, everything you can need to succeed on your health journey. So make sure you check out the link in the description bar to get access to my Slim program. First, let's stop using the term skinny fat. I think it's a very superficial label that is slapped on somebody, and it's a bit degrading and demeaning. I prefer to take a more scientific approach and a more respectful, objective approach, as opposed to using a label that's so emotionally charged, it seems, and sort of negative. Instead, the way that I would look at it is lower body weight with a higher body fat percentage and lower muscle mass. That is where the term skinny fat comes from. It's somebody who might appear to be in a smaller frame or have a lower body weight, but the reality is that their muscle mass is quite low and their body fat percentage is higher than you would suspect. And when we move away from that superficial slap on a label term of skinny fat, we start to look at this through a lens that is more health focused as opposed to aesthetic based, because there are health risks of having low muscle mass and high body fat percentage. And there are tremendous benefits from having high body fat percentage and a healthy amount of body fat, not on either side of the scale, too low or too high. So we shift the lens here and we put the focus more so on health, longevity, healthy aging, and living a happy, healthy, fulfilled life inside of a body that you feel comfortable in. In order for us to break free from quote unquote skinny fat, we first have to understand that if you are weighing yourself, or if you are just looking at the number on the scale as a marker of what your health looks like, how healthy you are, how fit you are, what your overall fitness is, you're making a huge mistake, because the number on the scale has so many different components that go into it that we can often misjudge it as a marker of our fitness or of our health, and it can be very misleading. Let me show you two photos here. Actually, I'm going to show you three photos. The photos that you see on the screen are from a fitness blogger named Kelsey. Now, in the photo on the left, you can see that she's 145 pounds. In the photo in the middle, she's 122 pounds, and in the photo on the right, she is 140 pounds. Now, look specifically at the difference between that middle 122 and the 140 on the right. Look how fit and healthy and toned and glowing she is on the right at 140 pounds versus in the middle at 122 pounds. She has lower muscle mass, she's not as fit, she's not as toned. This is a great representation of the fact that just the number on the scale alone does not encapsulate the entire journey and cannot really truly tell us what's going on inside our body. So if you are serious about breaking free from quote unquote skinny fat, aka low muscle mass, higher body fat percentage, then you have to have a means of measuring what your muscle mass is, what your body fat percentage is, and tracking that as you go along your fitness journey, not just looking at the number on the scale. Now, traditionally, if you are going to get a body analysis, you would have to go somewhere and pay a lot of money to get it done just one time. But I'm so excited because this part of the video is being sponsored by Hume, that has a body analyzer that has 98% precision accuracy in comparison to medical grade body analysis. So you could go and spend tons and tons of money, or you could get at home your own body pod, which is a body analyzer that I have here that is tremendously accurate. And if you live in the US and you have FSA or HSA, you can use it on this. So unlike a traditional scale that you step on it, it spits out one number and you have no idea if that's measuring your muscle mass or your body fat percentage, this is going to give you everything you could need. So of course it's going to give you your weight, but it's going to give you your muscle mass. It's going to give you your body fat percentage, how much of as visceral fat. How much water do you have in your body? That's another thing that we want to measure. Your bone mass is going to be measured, which is specifically important as you age to prevent osteoporosis, to make sure you have good bone health. It is so easy to use. It syncs with your phone. You can even connect it to your Fitbit or to your Apple Watch. It's unbelievable what this thing does. All you have to do is step on it, and then you pull up here the sensors, you hold on to the sensors, and bam, you have all the information you could need. I love using this with my clients because they can send me screenshots of what they get in the app, and the app is so useful. It tells you how your muscle mass is improving, how your body fat percentage is going down, your bones getting stronger with your bone mass increasing. It really is such a great insight into what's going on inside of the body, because the number on the scale, just weight, is not going to tell us everything. So it measures 40 different health metrics. It gives you your complete history. You can so easily keep track of everything in the app. I'm very hard to impress when it comes to these sort of things. I've seen out there a lot of devices, they call them smart scales. Those actually usually only measure the bottom half of your body. What are we doing here? Like, we have another half of our body that we need to analyze. And that's why I'm so impressed by the Body Pod. This is a body analysis device that will look at your entire body and tell you what's going on the inside. And the best news, I have a code that is going to get you 20% off, and they're having a sale right now for New Year's, so you can get that discount. And then my link in the description bar is going to get you even more off. Take advantage. Like I said, if you're in the US, you can use HSA or FSA on it, so this is a no-brainer to me. It is an investment in your health that can mark what your true health is looking like, not just what the number on the scale says, and it's just one number that really doesn't tell you what's going on. So that is step one. Step one is to have an idea of your starting point and understand, what is my body fat percentage? What is my muscle mass? How much of my body is made up of muscle? What is my bone density? What percentage of my body is water? How much of my body is water? Look at where you're starting from so that you can get an idea of what needs to happen. Does my body fat percentage need to go down? Does my muscle mass need to go up? And then we can track this as we move along. So you might be wondering, okay, what is this supposed to look like? Based on my age and my height and my weight, what should my body fat percentage be? How much of my body should be made up of muscle? Great question. Body fat percentage, it's gonna be different for men and for women. For women, we need to have a certain amount of body fat in order to have happy, healthy hormones. For women, we're looking at anywhere from 22 to 25% is going to be ideal. Once you drop below that, your hormones, I promise you, are gonna go completely out of whack, your sex hormones. And if you are too far above that, then you're also going to have similar issues, specifically because the more fat we have, the more estrogen is produced, and too much estrogen can be a problem for women, specifically when we're looking at things like breast cancer, endometrial cancer. Not to mention, the more estrogen you have, the heavier periods you're going to have, more likely to have some hormonal imbalances, and the more difficult it ends up being to go through things like menopause, the more estrogen you're starting out with. And then for males, body fat percentage wise, we're looking at anywhere from 15 to 17%. Now, as far as muscle mass goes, there's going to be variation based on what your age is. So I'll put up a table here on the screen to show you that the average muscle mass for women, if you are in ages 18 to 40, should be around 30 to 35% of your body. If you are ages 41 to 60, we're looking at about 29 to 33% of your body being muscle, and ages 61 and over, anywhere from 27 to 31% of the body should be muscle. As for men, anywhere from 18 to 40, we're looking at 40 to 44% muscle. From 41 to 60, 36 to 40% muscle. And for 61 and higher, we are looking at 33 to 36% muscle. I cannot tell you how important it is to make sure that you have enough muscle on your body. The more lean muscle mass you have, the higher your metabolism is, which means the more you can eat, but also your body just functions more efficiently. Additionally, the more muscle you have, the stronger your bones are. If you don't have a lot of muscle on your body, then your bones have no reason to stay strong because they don't have to hold up much. So then the bones become weaker, enter things like osteopenia and osteoporosis. So in order to break free from skinny fat, we need to get your muscle mass into that ideal range, and we want to get your body fat percentage into that ideal range. Exactly how do we do that? When we're looking at losing body fat, we are going to do that through a calorie deficit. When we look at gaining muscle mass, we are going to do that through progressive overload. So let's go through exactly how to achieve each of these. A calorie deficit. If you are new to my channel, then let me tell you that I am not a fan of counting calories. I'm not a fan of counting calories because it feels unnatural. It's not a great long-term solution. It's a headache for a lot of people. A lot of people completely miscount. Very honestly, they think they're doing the right thing, but they completely misestimate the amount of calories that they're eating. They usually vastly underestimate the amount of calories that they're eating, and it's extremely frustrating. Additionally, companies can have about a 20% margin of error with what they put on food labels. And a lot of companies don't even have their food products third-party tested, which means that they're putting out labels with calorie counts that are completely inaccurate. It's a mess, calorie counting. Also, it's not just what you eat, it's what you absorb. So 2 people could eat the same amount of calories, but one person absorbs more of it, the other person excretes more of it based on what's going on with your gut and how your digestion is looking. So I'm not a fan of calorie counting, but calories do count. You have to be in a calorie deficit in order to burn body fat. So how do we make sure that you're in a calorie deficit? This is where weighing yourself regularly through something that actually gives you your body fat percentage is going to be beneficial. So if you're in my Slim program, for example, I give you a meal plan that puts you in a calorie deficit based on what you input for your age, for your fitness level, for what your weight is, for what your height is. All of that is calculated in the background so that you don't have to worry about it. You're already in a calorie deficit if your goal is to release body fat. But if you're just going off on your own, then look at how your body fat percentage is moving from week to week to week. If your body fat percentage is decreasing when you step on the scale every week, then you know that you're in a calorie deficit and you're releasing body fat. I recommend that you follow what I call a plate builder. I go over this in the Slim program, but when you build your plate, I recommend that half your plate is vegetables, always, no matter what type of a diet you're on, always make half your plate vegetables. Then on the other half of the plate, we're gonna put a source of starchy carbs. That's gonna be potatoes, rice, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, millet, farro, quinoa, any of those. A source of, I prefer plant-based protein. I know that not everybody that watches this channel is plant-based, and so I'm very respectful of that and everybody's different choices. I personally do promote a plant-based diet. I think it's unbelievable the power that it has. So I would recommend things like tofu, tempeh, beans, peas, lentils, seitan as your source of protein, and then a sprinkling of healthy fats. So avocado, nuts, seeds, nut butter, hemp seeds, that sort of thing. I don't recommend adding oil. Oil is just so calorically dense that it can sort of muck up this method, which is a method of putting you in a calorie deficit without having to count calories. So when you do that with your plate, it will either, if you are at a body weight that's too low, it will have you eat a little bit more calories than you need and get you up to a healthy body fat percentage and body weight. Or if you are at a body weight and body fat percentage that is too high for your body, it will put you into a calorie deficit and get you to the weight that your body is supposed to be. So this is a great method. It's a catch-all for making sure that you are eating the proper amount of calories for your body in the long term. Now, if you are, a stickler on counting calories, if this is your thing, tried and true, I want to count calories, then, I'm not, what are you going to do here? I can't force anybody to do anything. I don't think that, I trust, if you want to trust a weight loss specialist who has years of experience working with thousands of people, I would not recommend counting calories. But if you do count calories, then you want to make sure that you're simply in a calorie deficit by calculating how many calories your body needs. On average, you are going to take the amount of pounds that you are and multiply it by 15, and that should be a guesstimate of how many calories you burn. I can't even believe I'm saying this because this really is not something that I promote, but I know people are going to be watching this video that are calorie counters, and whatever, I'll just give you that information. I also will get a lot of questions about fasting and grams of protein and this, that, and the other. To be completely transparent, you are going to burn your body fat if you are in a calorie deficit over time. On average, you're going to want to look at losing about a pound total per week. So not looking at losing a pound of body fat per week, but just losing 1 pound per week is a healthy, sustainable way to lose weight. Should you fast? Should you go for a certain number of grams of protein? Should you only eat at this hour, not eat at this hour? 5 small meals, 3 big meals? Like I said, to be totally transparent and honest with you, none of that matters as long as you're in a calorie deficit. I mean, truly. But the thing is, are you building habits that feel natural to you that you will be able to keep up in the long term? So if you are trying to intermittent fast, which by the way, I don't recommend, it is a wreck hormonally for women. All of the studies on intermittent fasting, most of them, were done on obese sedentary men. So for my ladies with very delicate hormones that fluctuate so much throughout the month, intermittent fasting, bad idea. Don't do it. So all of the mumbo jumbo about exactly how to structure your meals, when to have them, all of that, to be honest, doesn't really matter so long as you're in a calorie deficit over time and you are consistent with being in a calorie deficit. You don't want to be in too big of a deficit. That is going to likely cause a lot of rebound weight gain when you just can't hold on anymore. You want to be in a modest deficit that has you losing about a pound per week. Okay, so now how do we increase muscle mass? Well, this is something where if you're in the Slim program, I give you a workout plan to help you with building muscle mass over time. So you can just head into the Slim program and follow what your workout program is. But we use something that's called progressive overload. Now, I talked about a little bit earlier in this video how if you want to keep your bones strong, you need to make sure you have muscle. Otherwise, the bones have no reason to stay strong. Well, why would our muscles get any bigger if we're doing the same exact workout every day it's not hard on our muscles, we don't feel like we need to put in much effort to it? If you are doing the same exact workout with the same exact weight for a year straight, you're not going to put on muscle mass because there's no reason for your muscles to build more tissue and to grow stronger. So if you want to put on more muscle mass, you need to be increasing the amount of weight that you're doing so that your muscles have to get stronger. When you're pushing weight that is hard for you, then your muscles have no choice but to become stronger so that they can push that weight. So what we do in the Slim program, you track it in the Slim program. How much weight are you doing? And we keep your exercise routine the same for about 4 weeks. And then hopefully you are able to increase your weight as you go. So this is progressive overload. It is progressively overloading the muscles with the amount of work that it has to do so that it grows more muscle mass. Now, here's the tricky thing. In order to put on muscle mass, you have to be in a calorie surplus. Uh-oh, Emmy, didn't you just say that in order to release weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit? Yes, I did. Uh-oh, we have a little discrepancy here. How do you do both at the same time? Well, there's something called newbie gains. Newbie gains are for people that come to the gym that maybe they've never been to the gym before, they have excess weight on their body. These people at the beginning, they're likely going to be able to put on muscle mass and lose body fat at the same time. But as time goes on, that becomes increasingly difficult to do. So the best thing to do if you want to, over the long term, transform your body, which I beg of you, please play the long game here. Please don't play the short game here. Trust me on that one. Then you're going to go through phases where you're more so focused on putting on muscle, and then phases where you're more so focused on decreasing your body fat percentage. If you're trying to do both at the same time for the long term, gonna be difficult. If instead you go through micro phases of, I'm focusing on putting on more muscle mass, so I'm not gonna be in a calorie deficit at this time, I'm gonna be making sure that I'm eating enough to put on muscle mass, build muscle mass, then then you take a break from focusing on building muscle mass and you focus on being in a calorie deficit so that you can get your body fat percentage down. And over time, what this is going to do is lower your body fat percentage and over time increase your muscle mass. So it's a long-term game that you have to play here. So looking at realistic timelines here, like I said, when you are in a calorie deficit, losing about a pound per week is a great thing to aim for. When you're looking to build muscle mass for beginners, you can build about a pound of muscle in a month, but as time goes on, that number is going to get lower and lower. So some realistic timelines for you there to look at. Now, how long should you go through each one of these phases for? I've had clients who they didn't even focus on muscle building for, the first year or the first 6 months. They said, I just need to get my body fat percentage down because going to the gym and lifting weights, I am so sore from all of this body fat that I have on me that wasn't realistic for them to do. So this is individual to you and what your body composition is and what your goals are in the long term and where you are right now with your health. If you want me to do all of this for you because this is overwhelming, then just get into the Slim program. I'll get you a workout plan, I'll get you a meal plan, it'll be all taken care of. If you like this video, you are going to love the next one that pops up on the screen. I love you, honeys, and I'll see you in my next video.